Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. This is your brother Sean Ali, here at Supreme Health and Wellness by Sean Ali. And as always, family, I thank each and every one of you who tunes in and shares some of your very valuable time. I really do appreciate you, family. And as always, I pray that these brief words find you and your family and your loved ones in the best of your health, in the best of your wellness, in the best of your life. And I pray that it is on purpose because life is on purpose. And when we are living and leading a purposeful life, we are truly living and leading a blessed life, right? And in that note, family, I just wanted to come with some news, some science on our vital statistics, right? And when we're looking at what they are and what they represent, the word vital means absolutely necessary. So when we are looking at this topic of the vital statistics, vital means absolutely necessary. They are absolutely necessary to life. We cannot have life without our vital statistics. And our life is measured accordingly to our vital statistics. So, like if you go to the hospital or if you go to the emergency room, right? The first thing they do is they perform triage. They measure your vital statistics because this will let them know your level of life versus your level of death. Because these numbers are the numbers to our life or they represent the numbers to our death. And the emergency room and even the hospital, they treat us accordingly, right? So you come there, no matter what may be going on with, they will measure your vitals and treat you accordingly. Because if you aren't close to death, then you can wait, regardless to how we feel. And also, they won't let you go unless your vitals are in a good area, right? And some of us may have experienced not being able to be released from the hospital until our blood pressure gets low enough. So we want to go into understanding these and how to create that healthy lifestyle that allows us to control our vitals. Because remember, the vital statistics absolutely necessary to what? To our life. And this is a reflection of our lifestyle. So when we see the numbers that we read, it's a reflection of our lifestyle. So, and we don't have to see one of the points because as we get older in numerical age, right? And if you like me, 50 and over, we really start to focus more on our vitals because usually this becomes after a lifetime of wear and tear and not knowing how to make adjustments, right? Because we didn't understand our vitals until we hurt ourselves and now we need medical attention. But even then, we still don't fully understand the vitals, right? So they have your blood pressure monitor, and on here you can get your heart rate, your pulse, right? Because the vitals, they are our blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen level, weight, and temperature, right? This represents the gist of our vitals. We do not have to wait until we hurt ourselves, get sick, need healing to measure and keep track of our vitals. Everything else is just what we are going through on our journey. To have the journey, to have the ability to live revolves around our vital statistics. These are the measurements of our life. So we should be, and we can be proactive with our vitals and knowing them so we can learn how to make the necessary adjustments to our lifestyle that will keep us alive, right? Because we can measure our blood pressure. The monitor allows it to measure the pulse rate. Some you can do the heart rate, depending on the brand you have, right? They have the wrist monitor. So they almost eliminate the excuses to where we can't take control of our life, right? They have the wrist. You can get the pulse oximeter, say, that they put on your finger at the hospital, and you can measure your oxygen levels. Now, the key to these is that these vitals, they measure our resting. See, you go to the hospital, they don't immediately triage you, right? Not just because they want to take your information, but it's also some science behind that. Because when you sit 15, 20 minutes, your body becomes in a state of rest. So all of these numbers, they lower, or they should lower, because all of these numbers only elevate when we are in movement, right? So when you go and you measure your blood pressure, they have you sit perfectly still. If you move, they're going to have to do the reading again. So you sit a particular way to open up your cardiovascular system, to open up your arteries and your veins, to allow your heart to pump normally and regularly without it having to fight any constrictions, right? They have you breathe a certain way. You sit there. They measure your heart. They measure all of these, right? And this gives them a representation of where you're at, because when we are in a state of rest, all of these numbers should be low. If they are high from a state of rest, this means that our lifestyle, see, this is a reflection of our lifestyle. That's the key. All of these are a reflection of our lifestyle. So that and when we are in a state of rest, they should be naturally low. When they aren't, that's when our lifestyle is creating. What is the hypertension called? The silent killer. See, we've created our own silent killer. So we want to learn how to control our vitals. We want to learn how to control our vitals, because if we control our vitals, we control our life. If you control your vitals, you have your life in your hands, as you do now. But a lack of knowledge. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. A lack of knowledge of self will lead to us abusing and misusing ourselves and not being able to fix ourselves, right? So resting blood pressure, resting heart rate, resting oxygen level. Now, when we're looking, let's break it down real quick, because I don't want to make this a long-winded video, because health and wellness, it shouldn't take extensive explaining and teaching to achieve optimal health and wellness, because it's based around the things that we do and how we think. So we're looking at blood pressure, right? BP. The normal BP is 120 over 8, right? When we're getting elevated, we're in hypertension. When this is regular, but the best BP Woo! We get numbers like that. Now, when we're looking at the blood pressure, this measures the force in our arteries and the force in our heart. That's what the 120 and the 80 represents. So as our cardiovascular system functions, right? We know we have the heart, we have the arteries, we have the veins. The heart is moving material, oxygen, blood to. The veins are moving the material, oxygen, blood away. The heart is the pump, the regulator. So when that blood is pushing through the arteries, the amount of force that it takes to move that blood through the arteries, this is measured in the systolic. The diastolic, the heart is an organ. It has muscle contraction. Boom, boom. That's the heartbeat. When that heart contracts, when it goes to feel release and fill back up, that pressure or that amount of force is measured under the diastolic. The higher these numbers, the more force on the heart and the more force within the arteries. This wears out that system because now the heart has to work harder to push life to your body, right? This wears out the heart. Hypertension, the silent killer. Now, we know the system that it represents, our cardiovascular system. How do you control the heart? Because the heart controls the arteries. So how do we control the heart? We control the heart two ways: with our thinking and with our breathing. Because remember, this is our resting blood pressure. This is the importance. We're not checking our regular blood pressure, because when you move, blood pressure goes up. That's why when they measure it at the emergency room or the doctors, they have us sitting perfectly still, calm, cool, and collected, because they want to take the resting blood pressure. So when we're not moving, if you're not moving, what could have your heart beating faster? Tachycardia, excessive heartbeat. What could have your heart beating faster? Our thoughts and our breathing. So when you think a racy thought, a fast-paced thought, the heart beats accordingly, because the electrical impulse that causes the heart to beat is called an action potential. It's connected to our thoughts. So if you're thinking a high racy thought, oh man, excited, boom, the heart is going to beat. Boom, 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 boom. But if you think a calm, peaceful thought, right? Slow flowing water. The heart, see that electrical impulse that's coming from that thought, it corresponds to the heart. Boom, boom. So the heart will slow down. Boom, 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 boom. Now the other way, when somebody is excited, angry, mad, upset, what's one of the first pieces of advice they get? Hey, breathe, slow down, take a breath. See, when we are breathing, stress breathing, excited breathing, angry breathing, this is a fast-paced, shallow, usually chest and mouth breathing. The heart corresponds to the breath, because the breath is going to the heart. The lungs are and the heart are connected. So as this increased breath, the heart is beating boom, 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 boom to match it. So when you breathe slower, the heart can only respond and beat slower. So now, if the heart is being regulated, if the heart is being controlled, the force and pressure in the arteries is being controlled, because the heart controls the arteries and the veins, right? So if we regulate the heartbeat, we regulate the arteries. Now, when we inhale, or excuse me, when we exhale through our nose, both ways. Let's reverse that real quick. Because breathing, we want to control this blood pressure real quick, right? So when we inhale through the nose, right, this creates nitric oxide, natural vasodilator, right? What it does is it dilates those constricted arteries. So if the arteries are constricted, the vasodilator of nitric oxide, it dilates them and opens them up. So now blood flow is easy, boom, right? If you aren't breathing through your nose, your body isn't creating nitric oxide. So what happens? You damage, or you create you cause high blood pressure, you cause hypertension. The doctor gives you a prescription of nitric oxide. listen, listen, you can breathe, inhale through your nose. And we have in our nasal cavities 4 specific sinuses: the maxillary, the frontal, the ethmoid, and the sphenoid. And when we inhale through our nose, as that air is passing through these sinuses, it naturally creates nitric oxide. So as this is coming down into the trachea, into the lungs, nitric oxide is being introduced into your body. And now the heart is immediately pumping it through the arteries, because that's how blood flows, through the arteries. The arteries become dilated, and you save yourself. The other option is you continue, you don't breathe through your nose, you don't create nitric oxide, you go to the doctor, they give you a prescription, you swallow it, and it does the same thing. But now it has potential harmful side effects like all medication does, right? So, because this is our resting blood pressure. When you are sitting still for 15 minutes and longer, your body should become regulated and all of your vitals should lower. Your breathing lowers, your blood pressure lowers, your body becomes in a state of relax, and it conserves energy and power because you're not doing nothing. So it should not require a lot of force, power, and energy to keep you alive if you aren't doing anything. This is what makes high blood pressure so dangerous. This is the deadliness of hypertension, that what is also called the silent killer, because you don't know when it's going to break. It will break because the body cannot sustain prolonged periods of elevated blood pressure. The heart and the cardiovascular system needs a break. The break comes when we control our thinking and our actions, our breathing. Now, when we inhale through the nose, we know we create nitric oxide. Also, when we exhale, I don't like that red. When we exhale through the nose, right? We have in our brain, on our brainstem particularly, the 10th cranial nerve, right? And it's called the vagus nerve. It's on the brainstem, and it extends. Vagus means wander. It's a Latin word. It means wander because it wanders from the brainstem all the way down to the reproductive organs. And it touches the heart, the stomach, the pancreas, the liver, the small intestine, large intestines, all the kidneys, right? The adrenal glands. And when we exhale through the nose, This innervates or activates the vagus nerve, and it allows, or it immediately has a calming effect. It calms all of these organs. Bam. And it is the 1-2 punch, because you're getting nitric oxide, right, to dilate the arteries on the inhale. And on the exhale, we are innervating our vagus nerve, which calms the rest of the body, right? So it allows you to control your thinking, because we are always receiving input from the body. We are always receiving input from the body. It's easily to become sexually aroused. It's easy to be put in a state of hunger. You can smell it, you can see it, think about it. It's easy to have our appetite activated in some type of way. And this in turn will influence our thinking, and it will raise our blood pressure. So we have the 1-2 punch of controlling our body. And when we are on our breathing, that rolls right over into our next vital statistic of our heart rate, right? Because one of the deadliest things dealing with our heart is tachycardia. That's almost a common diagnosis, tachycardia, from young people to old people, an excessive heart rate, because our breathing and our thinking, we're breathing wrong. We're not activating our diaphragm and controlling our breathing. We're chest breathing, we're mouth breathing, we're excited breathing, stress breathing. So when we mimic the physical actions of stress, the body follows, and it triggers the sympathetic nervous system. It triggers the stress response. It triggers fight or flight. And now the body is physically in the state of stress. The arteries are constricted, because that's what it does in fight or flight. Because all of the energy is converted to the actions of ready to fight or ready to flight, right? So all of these organs become shut down, metabolism becomes interfered with, all of these things. This is how we come back into control, so we can control our vitals, because vital means absolutely necessary to our life. That's how they measure it, and that's how they determine when we are dead. So controlling our vitals is key. We don't have to wait to be sick. So if we learn how and when to measure our blood pressure. So if I measure it and it's elevated, what do I do? Do I take something? Do I do something? Let's follow what the hospital does. If you go and you're ready to be discharged, right? For those that have experienced this, if you're ready to be discharged and your blood pressure is elevated, what do? Because you're not going to leave yet. So do they give you something? Do they give you something to drink, a medication, something to eat? No, they have you sit there. Be right back. They come back 15, 20, 30 minutes later. They check it again. If it's still elevated, they still don't give you nothing. They don't give you water, food, medication. We be right back. Because the longer you sit, the blood pressure and all of the vitals are supposed to lower, because you're not doing anything. Does that make sense? So now at home, we have the tools, so we can be very proactive and active, proactive and active in maintaining our health and saving our life, because the tools are available. So if I measure my blood pressure and it's elevated, I'm at home, because the key, resting blood pressure. Now this is the exercise. I measure my blood pressure, it's elevated. I wait 15 to 30 minutes. I control my thinking. I control my breathing. I make sure I'm sitting properly, that I'm not having my legs crossed. I don't have any pinch points. I'm not leaning too far back. I'm not leaning too far forward. I'm making sure that I'm controlling and keeping my body open, because in a state of rest, these numbers are supposed to naturally lower. So now after 15 to 30 minutes, I measure it again, right? Now I got a reference point and I got a position to see where I need to go, what I need to do, because this is how this is what the system monitors: our arteries and our heart. That's not food based. Right? Those aren't food can and does affect them, but this is our cardiovascular system. It's breathing based. It's oxygen based. Does that make sense? So when we can get to this point, we can know how to make these adjustments, because if it's still elevated, I'm going to check my thoughts again. I'm going to check my breathing again. I'm going to check my position again. Now, then I'm going to see what I was doing previous, because my body may need just more time for it to regulate. I might have just pushed myself too far, because we don't take breaks. We'll work and work and work and work and work until then we'll get a break or take a break. See, we don't know how to understand, okay, yes, when I'm moving, my blood pressure goes up, but I can't keep it in an elevated state for an extended amount of time. I have to teach it how to regulate and come down. Does that make sense? So, like I said, I just wanted to come with this brief message on the understanding of the science of health and controlling and understanding our vitals, because vital means absolutely necessary. And these are the numbers that will tell you how much life you have left, or how much or how close you are to your premature death. And we are supposed to be able to control our life and our death. My life and my death is all for God, but the control of it is with me in the lifestyle that I create. I create a healthy lifestyle, I live and enjoy life. I created unhealthy lifestyle, I will suffer and die from premature death. That's up to us, family. That's the gift of God. Here at Supreme Health and Wellness, we just want to show how we can maximize the potential, the natural potential of the endless energy, force, and power that we call life that's inside of you. It doesn't matter where condition you are in now. It's your life. I want to show you how fun and easy it is to take charge of it, to say, be, and you become. Woo! Not be if something appears outside of you. Not be and there's $1 million. Because if I could do that, I would be doing that for myself. I'm saying to say, be here, in here, and it becomes. So family, if you or anybody you know needs help, man, please feel free to contact us, Supreme Health and Wellness by Sean Ali. And we will be having a continuation of this, because there's other vitals we didn't hit. But talking about health and wellness should not be an extensive conversation. It should not be long-winded. It should be fun, easy, and short. And then we get up and we do it. Woo! Because life and health and wellness is about doing instead of talking, right? So this will be the end of part 1. Continue as we go through the rest of the vitals and the rest of how to create this healthy lifestyle. And as your brother, family, I thank you all for tuning in. I leave you as I came, in the spirit of love, peace, as your brother, and of course, in God's name. And I leave you with some words of peace. I say, Namaste Hotel. Power to the people. Salam alaikum. Peace.